There's no benefit of ours. There's no gain. We don't need notoriety, fame, a media cookie, a pat on the back for surviving and doing what just needed to be done.
I will continue to take care of Ally. This has never been about Ally. This is about letting you guys know that we're in a war, and most of you don't know about it. You don't know what it looks like. You don't even know that it exists. There are millions of kids, little kids, that are being trafficked, that are being sold for organ harvesting, that are being tortured in ways you can't even fathom. We owe them to stand for them and to fight for them and to educate ourselves so we can do the right thing. This is not about Ally. This is not about the other survivors. This is about the children that are still stuck in slavery in the United States, across the globe, but in the United States. Most of you guys don't even know that something like that would happen here. But now you do know, and you have to move. You have to stand.
Your organizations are going out of state, out of the country to handle a situation that they won't touch in their own backyards. What sense does that make? What sense does that make? Do you know how many millions of children and victims, survivors are here in the United States of America, but we have people that are headed out of country and asking you to give them money to go out of their own backyards? It doesn't make any sense.
A lot of you might want to dismiss this because you think it's political, you think it's red side or blue side. These are crimes against humanity. They don't have a red side or a blue side. They don't have a color. They don't have a nationality. Children are being trafficked across our southern borders. Ally was trafficked across our southern borders. Ally went on drops across our southern borders. If you hear this information and you just dismiss it because you think it's political, you've done a great disservice and you're part of the problem. There's so many layers when you're dealing with a survivor of MK Ultra, almost like an onion. There's just layer upon layer upon layer of things. The common misconception is that once you remove them from trafficking or whatever situation they're in, and you put them in a good place and you put them in a good home, that everything is okay, and that's not the case at all. If anything, life gets harder and life gets more intense and worse for them. We have dealt with gang stalking. When Ally first came, it took me a while to realize that on ritual nights or on different times there was callback programming. That looks like sometimes the phone would ring, her phone would ring. If she would answer it, it would be a series of tones. It can look like somebody sitting across the street from our home and honking their horn a certain sequence of times. It can look in a lot of variety of ways, but it would trigger her programming and she would try to leave the house. She was trying to get to cult rituals. Sometimes she would just go down. When I say go down, she would drop where she stood. If she hit her head on the ground, she didn't try to break her fall. It was just like everything just stopped and she just would drop. She would sometimes go into a trance. She would not know where she was. There was just so many things, just layers upon layers of things that go on for survivors. When she first came, I would normally, with my other kids, I would take them to do normal things. We would go to the beach, we would go on a picnic, we would go to Disneyland, we would do normal things. But when I was trying to take Ally to those things, she would go into a trance, she would pass out, she would get very sick. Initially, we would just not go. We would change the plans until I started realizing what this was, that it was part of her programming. Anybody that shows them kindness, anybody that tries to do normal things, it clashes with programming. And I was seeing the results of that. So we got to the point where if we had decided to go to Disneyland for the day and she got sick, if she was passed out, I took her anyway. I would just rent a wheelchair and we went anyway. And the more times we did those types of things, it seemed to break the programming, or it seemed to stop whatever that was. But it took a while. It took a lot of repetitious times of doing the same things over and over. There were times when her skin would burn, like physically burn. She said it felt like a sunburn. If people tried to hug her, like if normal, good, kind-hearted people tried to hug her, if I tried to hug her, her skin would burn. Didn't realize we were clashing with programming. We were clashing with her programming. There's just so many layers of evil that has been done to the survivors. Over the years, I've been collecting information. I've been documenting. I've created a dossier, which is fairly extensive, on names of people, on information that I've seen in her flashbacks, on information that her alters have given me. What people don't know is that survivors have an internal system and they have an internal structure, and that the handlers, the programmers, document that by making a blueprint, like an actual legitimate huge blueprint. Each of the alters remember sections of the blueprint, but no one alter knows all the parts of that. Over the years, I've been collecting information from many of the alters, blueprint information, names, dates, how they sell the kids, things like that. It's a lot. A lot of people want to flatter me. A lot of people try to tell me that I'm a great mom. That's really not the case. I'm duty bound to fight for these kids. And what the world doesn't know is that they're duty bound too. Every single one of you is duty bound to stand for every survivor and every child. Not because you're a great human being, but because you are a human being. These are crimes against humanity. And it's on our watch. It's on our plate. We have to stand. We are all duty bound. If you are listening to this right now, an hour ago, you might not have known what was going on, but you know now. And now you either stand and fight for the kids, you either realize that you are duty bound too, or you become complicit. And that's just what it is. You can't just sit on the couch. This is evil like nobody's ever seen. The depths of it are mind-boggling. You have to decide where you stand. But you can't just look away.